Hello and welcome to a movie review. I'm the Bulk and today we're having a look at Dunkirk.
You can practically see it from here.
What?
Home.
The film is directed by Christopher Nolan and depicts the historically famous evacuation of Dunkirk beach. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the story, the basic idea is that during World War II, in the early stages of World War II, the British troops became trapped. Well, British and French troops became trapped on the titular beach, and the British Navy made some attempts to try and save them from the beach. There was 400,000 people on this beach, and the film basically follows the Navy, along with several civilian ships, attempts to try and rescue these men from the beach. So, what's good about this film? Well, first of all, I feel like I need to talk about Christopher Nolan's style. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the director, he's behind several very famous cinematic projects. He was behind the Dark Knight trilogy, which are often called the best superhero movies ever made. He was behind Interstellar, Inception, and amongst many other very famous films. And again, he has a very unique style, and it comes into play here. His style it's very hard to describe, but the only way I can describe it really is cinematic, because everything, you have these gorgeous wide shots, these lush colours, these longer takes, these tracking shots, these variety of shots as well. Some shots that you wouldn't be expecting, some handheld, some lower shots, some shots in awkward positions. It basically is a very interesting film from a filmmaker's point of view, and he presents the story in a very unique way, and just in general the way he films it, the way he has his cinematography, and the way he has music tied in and so forth is very unique to him, and I feel it works very well for this film, because in essence this film may not have been as big a draw to some people, because the event itself, it doesn't overly come across as cinematic. Basically, people being evacuated, as a war film, being evacuation type things aren't really are kind of glossed over, and a lot of people felt that this is a story that's sort of hard to put across to an audience and try to get an audience in, but I feel his filmmaking style makes it interesting and makes people want to watch it. And I know for a fact that I wasn't overly interested in this project until I saw trailers and started reading into it, and my god, the film does pay off for all the hype that is surrounding it. Another good thing I have to bring up is when predicting real-life events, especially like real-life events close to your nationality, especially like this is a very monumentous event for British people, it's very hard, because if you predict it too Hollywood, in a sense, it can become it can become shunned because of that. But here I am very grateful to say they haven't glossed over it, so to speak. They haven't added that Hollywood glitz and glamour as such, but which I mean, there isn't like ridiculous plot elements, there isn't like ridiculous stupid dialogue or love interests or anything like that. This is literally the event. Again, it's told through certain perspectives, but it is essentially the event. Almost happens because they don't depict every single thing about the event, but they do depict it very well, and I feel that was sort of something that needs to be brought up. And also, you sort of, because of that, you have that the film is brutal. And by brutal, I don't mean like violently brutal in the sense of blood splatting everywhere and shock moments, because brutality can come in the form of a genuine shocking thing, and in this it does have that, and because the conflict itself would have been absolutely brutal beyond belief, and I feel they represented it so well in this, the brutality of it. You would have music cues that cut out or something, or lack of music in certain areas, music in some other places, and basically the way he could, like, Nolan constructs scenes, so when kills happen, or when deaths happen, or when absolutely heartbreaking moments happen, they're perfectly constructed to have the payoff that you would want them to have, and he works very well with that. Another big thing I have to say, moving on from the actual filmmaking point of view, is the acting in this is absolutely fantastic. You've got a very big ensemble cast here. You've got Tom Hardy, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, and various other new British young British actors, and also Harry Styles' acting debut, and all of them give it their all and are absolutely fantastic. They are really good. All of them have the varying roles, so there's not like there's a big name attached, so to speak. They have big actors, but they're in in sort of smaller roles, so that all of these roles have somebody behind it, somebody that you could get behind. I do feel like I need to shout out Harry Styles in this, because with it is a lot of people giving him stick when he was cast, when basically since the very beginning of when he was brought into the project, everybody was saying that is ridiculous, what on earth are you doing, people saying it wouldn't work. In this, because he's not given like a huge amount of things, he's not given like massive amounts of things to do. He has crucial scenes, and his scenes are very crucial, but he doesn't have a massive role. But his role, he does perform it very well, and I feel a lot of the extras that they had, a lot of the not the main actors, but like a lot of the extras they had were also very good, because they depict there's something about it, the way they produce the emotion and show the how the mindset of these people and how people would have been, acting and thinking, so forth in this event. I felt they did a really good job of it, about portraying that, and I felt that they just did a superb job of it from the acting standpoint. And also, I must admit, a little detail I found very nice is how there's very little dialogue. Now, it's not something that I overly noticed at first, but something that sort of dawns on you, how there is very little dialogue. And the thing is, all the dialogue seems important. There's some bits that's like nothing seems unnecessary in this film. Everything seems built for purpose, or conveying a point, or showing the way a character thinks, and it works so well for the film having this. And it's it makes you hear the little sounds, like the tinkle of bullets or the roar of a plane, and when the music cues certainly start building up, it's having little dialogue works so well for this type of film. And talking of music, the score in this is absolutely bloody-tastic. It is really damn good. By Hans Zimmerman, who's done many projects before, and he's known for his really rousing scores. And this, he just has it, and the way it builds and descends, it adds something to the film that you would be so lacking if it wasn't there. An element that I think does need talking about is the narrative structure of this film. Now, with the film, it was known beforehand that the film would follow multiple people's perspectives of the event, but you don't quite get it. Well, basically what happens is the film has 3 distinct stories running through it. One about the soldiers on the beach, one about a small civilian boat trying to save people, and one about 3 RAF planes trying to help the people out on the beach. Now, these stories, you'd think, they would have they would all be running at the same time, so to speak, and they do. The thing is, they take place over 3 distinct time spans. So the people on the beach is over a week, the people on the boat is over a day, and the RAF is over an hour. Now, all of these stories are sort of woven in together, and you learn how all of these stories connect. And the different time spans allow things to be revealed slowly and built up at the right moments, and sort of character revelations are sort of given off at the right moments. And it allows the basically to provide you a very unique perspective of the event. And the different people's stories are so interesting. There's not one solid story. Like, the soldier story is interesting because you see how much they've had to go through to survive, and how quickly they could die, and how desperate a situation it is. The story on the boat's interesting because it's how these ordinary people will give up their life to try and save people that they don't even know. And also they have a soldier on board who's shell-shocked, who doesn't want to go back because they pick him up halfway there, and he doesn't want to go back, so they have that added drama. And the RAF pilots are quite good because it basically shows the willingness to give it all for your queen and country, which I feel is a very rousing moral standpoint as well. And in general, I think is a very, very clever way of presenting this historic event. In terms of negatives, I only have one, though this one is it can kill the film to you. Now, this is not a massive thing, but I'm going to have to say it. The narrative, as I say again, has having the 3 different stories over 3 different time durations. That has a problem because of the way it's edited together. Now, they all start at the same time, but it becomes clear that because one is a week, one is a day, and one is an hour, that not all of these start at the same time as other ones, so to speak, in the actual chronological order of it. So you'll have, like, and there's sort of, so events happen, but then it'll cut to another one of the stories where events happen again, and then, let's say, in one of them, something happens later on, but then another one hasn't quite got there yet, or something's already happened in one story that hasn't happened in another one, and it's sort of a bit of a jumble like that. Now, if you're following the film, which trust me you will be, because the film finds a way to grab your interest, and trust me, you will be drawn to it. If you're watching it but not fully into it, sort of you're wanting to watch it but you're not quite in the mood for it, you won't be able to follow it properly. You just won't, because you lose track of where things are. Again, there's only 3 stories and they're fairly easy to follow, and I'm not being funny, but if you can't follow it, then come on, you're a bit stupid. But I can see this being a massive turn-off for some people, having like a very unclear narrative, like not one straight story, having stories that jump from different things. So I can see why that would put some people off. In fact, the screening I was in, about an hour in, the person I was sat with, we were watching it, really enjoying, really in the mood for it, and then this couple, a few rows next to us, a fair middle-aged couple, about 30, 40, decided to got up halfway through, went through the back exit, and as they left, the bloke said, "Worst film I've ever seen." And we were both shocked by it, because we were like, first of all, it's not even finished yet, and second of all, what's there to hate? Yes, like, if you're not following it, if it doesn't seem clear to you, then that's your own fault, really. But overall, the film is absolutely amazing. It really is a really, really good film. Christopher Nolan's knocked it out of the park again, as he always does. It says a lot, because I'm not a big war film fan. I've never been overly interested in the genre, but I found myself so deeply rooted in the story, so deeply following it, and when the ending finally rolls along, there's a part of you that just feels this sense of awe and wonder at what you've seen, and the realizations how certain characters ended up and how others haven't, and it's just this sense of wonderment. And, like, again, it's just so watchable and enjoyable that you get so gripped by it. Especially, I suppose, being British, when you're knowing of the story, and the history's had a very mixed opinions of it. And they even address that in the film, how certain soldiers felt that they've survived, but they'll be, like, shunned upon because they've done it and everything. And how that may or may not be true. But it works. It just works so well. The film is just... It's just a very, very well-made film, and is a perfect example of how to make a movie. And for that reason, I'm going to have to give the film a 9 out of 10. So, that was Dunkirk. What did you think of the film? What do you think of Christopher Nolan as a director? Please let me know down below, and while you're down there, give that like and subscribe button a little tickle, and I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye.